Joe, nice to see you. Thanks very much for being here. You're here um, doing the Friday press conference because Frank is supporting Jamie Allen. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. Jamie's got a family funeral today. It was obviously documented a few weeks ago. He missed the Birmingham game, that they had a tragic loss. So difficult day for Jamie and his family. And I think Frank and a few of the players, a few of Jamie's close teammates have gone to show their support, which everyone's tried to do since then. We've spoken a lot about the togetherness in our squad this season. And we've had a lot of good times, but in tough times, I think that's even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for taking the time to be with us, obviously.
It's difficult to speak about even now, obviously with the how everyone feels about Jamie. Everyone's seen the effect it's had, and it's been tough. And as I said, he'll continue to get the support that he needs from all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the support is reciprocated from the fan base and obviously from those of us that work in the press as well. So our deepest condolences to everybody and to Jamie in particular and his family.
Thank you.
Work has to carry on. I know it puts football very much into perspective when you have an event like this going on.
Yeah.
How has the week been, given that obviously back-to-back home wins? Has it carried forward and impacted on the way you've gone about work this week?
No, as you said, football goes on, and I think after a difficult period through the Christmas period, we feel like we're back in a good moment now with the back-to-back home wins. And since the Millwall game, which was a big result, difficult game, but a big result for us to. I think in this league, any time that you get consecutive wins is big. But from the period we got to, where obviously such sustained period of winning in the build up to Christmas, to then come away from that, it feels a difficult moment. So as soon as you can get back to that place where you're putting consecutive wins on the board, it's big from two difficult games. Leicester came, and I think for a half of a game we saw the best of Leicester this season, so that was tough. So that was a big result. The fact that we then followed it up quickly against another, difficult opponent, which Millwall have proved to a lot of teams this season, it's given a lot of belief and confidence back into the camp that we've kind of quickly got back to where we were. And since then we've had a couple of days off, which the sort of reset we had physically and mentally after that grind of a fixture schedule in the Christmas period, where we were carrying some knocks and some illness, it felt like we reset in and around before and after that Stoke game. So I think we went into the Leicester game feeling a lot fresher and a lot happier about where we were, obviously with the addition of a couple of players, and I think we just took that into the Millwall game as well. And to now again have this unusual break where we're playing on Monday, it gave us 2 days off, and now we've got 3 days of work. So I think as a squad we're in a much better place than we were a couple of weeks ago, which is pleasing.
I mean, obviously 6 points from six is the ideal. How key was that? Because as you mentioned, it had been a really difficult period, and I was speaking to Frank Lampard about how important those 3 points would be against Leicester and getting them. Obviously, you go out with the intent that that's what you're going to do. Is there a sense of kind of achievement, relief that you've managed to get those 2 back-to-back wins?
Probably a bit of all of it. When you're where we are and you're aware that you're being chased and we've got a clear goal. This second half of the season, every point you pick up is important. Every point you drop can be important. We're aware of that. But I think what's key is there's the two sides of it. There's the putting points on the board, but then there's the manner of the performances as well. And I think that's what it got to in that Christmas period. That obviously we're aware we had a little run where we were dropping more points than we had been previously in that long stretch leading up to it. Which is always going to happen. No team is just going to win throughout the course of a championship season. But there would probably ended up being a couple of performances in there where you were looking at us and we're a bit off key, maybe lost a little bit of the edge and the spark that we'd been playing with for so long. And as I said, there are a number of reasons that contributed towards that. But then when we had that period of what felt like a chance to rest and reset, bring 2 new players into the building, but also gain people like Victor Torp and Brandon that had been missing, that had been a big part of what we were doing. It felt like a chance to see it as a bit of a fresh start. And when you look at the 2 games that we've just had, where the 6 points is massive, but there's been a lot of sort of traits from the performances that have looked like the team we were that got us into that strong position, particularly the 2 second halves, I thought.
Yeah, and any areas within those performances that you're key to be working on? Because obviously that'll be an area that you're particularly specialising in out on the training ground and getting out there. Are there areas where you can see that there's room for improvement?
No, I think with every game we have quite clear principles in what we're about, and I think that for people that watch us on a consistent basis will see that we have a way that we want to play, and then for each game there's game plans and tactical tweaks. But what has to underpin all that, and which I think the players got so right for such a long part of the season, was underpinning it with that intensity, that aggression. We're a team that, yeah, we want to have the ball and we want to control games with possession, but we always want to have an idea of trying to move forward and be as proactive as possible. And yeah, that kind of edge and aggression and intensity was definitely lacking in some of the performances in and around Christmas. Again, for various different reasons, but it was lacking. But I think when you look at the last two games where we got to a point where we're coming out for a second half against Leicester, where we're trailing and it's on us to go and turn that result round, and then we're coming out for a second half against Millwall, where they'd got themselves back in the game and it was on us to go and win the game. I felt that's where you saw it again. Everything was front foot. Every time we were turning the ball over, there was multiple blue shirts around it. And I think for as often as we can make sure we're absolutely about that, which is helped by the fact that you sort of add reinforcements to the squad and you've got numbers to know that once the lads that have started doing it from the first minute can come off and we can put fresh bodies on that can keep sustaining it. It's definitely been a big feature of the positive week we just had.
And have you noticed that out on the training ground as well, that intensity is also there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as I said, it's clear at the time we were going into each of those games in the Christmas period with belief and confidence, but you could feel the people missing and you could feel
Yeah.
the grind that it was game and then quickly 2 or 3 day turnaround and another game. You could feel that. Whereas it came to this part of Stoke, then Leicester, then Millwall, where we were out there with some new faces, which that happens at every club. When you bring new players in, there's always that kind of element of, okay, so a bit of competition. So we welcome the new signings, but then the levels go up in training a bit, and we've seen all of those things, and hopefully we keep sort of taking the positives from that.
And you say new faces, but obviously Romain Esse is somebody that it is not a new face to you necessarily. Is it good to be back working with him again?
Yeah, it's I had a lot of time for Romain, and when I worked with him at Millwall, me trying to help him on a journey to becoming a Premier League player, which is what every young player wants, is, their conversations that we had. We spoke about how I could help him. We spoke about what that journey might look like. In those conversations, we spoke about the fact that it's not easy, and throughout that journey, there's going to be ups and downs. And we stayed in touch when I left Millwall, and when he ended up getting his move to Crystal Palace, I contacted him then and said, I was pleased that he got his move, that he wanted to play in the Premier League. And exactly like we spoke about, it hasn't been completely straightforward. So the fact that we've ended up back together now, for myself and the other coaches, potentially a chance to help him get closer to his goal, something I'm really pleased about.
Is that an exciting prospect to be able to be working with such a young talent again and have the opportunity between now and the end of the season and that loan deal to I'd not say finish what you'd started, but to get back into it again?
Yeah, definitely, and it's two-way thing, right? It's something I've got a lot of experience in, working with young players with a lot of potential and trying to get them to make that step to become Premier League players. I've seen it happen a lot, so I've got a good idea of the sort of the attributes you need, the pitfalls that could be there that you need to avoid. So again, as much as I and we can help Romain, the better, because we know what his long-term goal is. But for us, for sure, Rom adds to our team. So hopefully we're trying to achieve something big here, and I think he's made a good start so far. But I definitely know that there's plenty more to come.
Yeah, and the same for Millie. Has he settled in all right from what you see, the two of them?
Yeah, definitely, and I think for Mini, we were clear in terms of sort of bolstering the squad that those wide positions, that's a big feature of how we play, and it's the times where we felt like we were quite light in games and being able to make changes that impacted games. They were the positions that we highlighted. So in terms of our January business, to be able to get 2 wingers in the door early was positive. Mini's come in and looked good in training, showed some really nice bits in the game against Stoke. I think one of the difficult things for him is he's come in to play predominantly on the left for us, and Efron is in outstanding form and physically in as good a condition as probably I've seen him since he's been here. So yeah, competition in the squad.
Which is exactly what you would have wanted, of course. Looking ahead to Monday, it's a tricky place to go traditionally for Coventry City Football Club over your recent years. But it feels as though as a group and as a collective, whenever there's been a challenge like that where the statistics might not look favourable, you've kind of gone, okay, bring it.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of those long-standing historical stats because I get them, and for some reason in football they are sometimes a thing that continues. But the reality is this group has got nothing to do with a group of 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So yeah, been a difficult place to go for teams in the past. We had a difficult, a really difficult day there last year that I don't want to spend too much time thinking or talking about. But for them, for Norwich, strangely, it's been a difficult place for them this season.
Mm.
But it probably couldn't be more telling of what the Championship throws up, that a team like them as our next opponent, people would look from afar and say they've been in the bottom section of the league for most of the season, struggling at home, and now we're facing them off the back of a 5-0 away win. So we don't need any warnings to avoid complacency. We know that Norwich away is a tough game, but I think like we've done in the other games that you reference, where we've sort of got results against teams that maybe typically Coventry teams haven't, or even just difficult Championship away games, we go there focusing on us. And as I said, we're probably back in a position with what we've done in the last two games where we would go anywhere on Monday and back ourselves.
How has it been for you working here at Coventry City and being part of this? Obviously, you and Frank Lampard have got a long-standing relationship together in terms of working relationship. What's it like here at this particular football club for you?
I knew a bit about the club, but didn't know loads about it. I knew it was a big club in terms of what it means to the city, but yeah, didn't know much else. And what I like personally is that when you get to the CBS on a match day, it feels like a massive club. You know, in terms of all the stadiums you go to at the moment in the Championship for attendance and atmosphere, I think it feels like the place to be, and it's got like a big club feel. On a day-to-day basis, there's a real intimate feeling about it, that, you know, quite a small setup here in terms of just the environment, but the amount of people as well. What I personally love about my role in terms of how I work when I'm Frank's assistant is my priority is very much to work hands-on closely with the players. So when you've got a job like that, the quality of the people first and foremost, the quality of the people that are in the squad, but then the talent that is in it is obviously pivotal to how I feel about my job. And you know, you couldn't ask for a hungrier but more humble group of lads that want to come in and want to learn and work and improve every day. So yeah, I've loved every minute of it so far.
One of the players that a lot of people have noticed a huge change in is Jay Dasilva, who we're going to speak to a little bit later. How closely have you been working with him?
I'm not sure that there's a player that I've worked more with in my career than Jay Dasilva. I had Jay when he was 15, 16, 17, 18, and obviously now we've come together again. To be honest, it surprises me a little bit because I feel what I'm seeing now in Jay, particularly in this last 6 months, is kind of, I feel like I'm watching Jay play, the 15, 16, 18-year-old Jay Dasilva that I watched. So I obviously followed Jay's career when he was at Bristol and then when he first came to Coventry, not too closely because I was concentrating on my own stuff, but followed him. But you know, he's getting a lot of plaudits for his performances this season, which he deserves. But in terms of the demand that a player puts on a coach, Jay is one of the most low maintenance players you could wish to work with. He comes in every day, does his job, super reliable, super professional. Yeah, and the levels that I'm seeing from him now are no surprise to me, and I'm fully delighted that a lot of people are getting to see it.
Mm. Is this is a kind of which is your favourite child kind of question, but is there a player that you've worked with here within this group that you've been particularly proud, pleased to see the work that you've been able to put in with them? I mean,
You're right, it is what's your favourite child question? And I wouldn't answer that either. No, but they're all so different. You know, there's players here that you end up voice noting and WhatsApping at 9 o'clock at night and sharing videos of. Then there's lads that you end up talking to for 40 minutes on the pitch after a training session. Then there's lads that come up and ask for clips. They're all different in terms of how they want the support from you and how they want to learn. Some you do kind of just let them get on with it, and every now and again they just need a sort of shuffle in the right direction. Some there's a real ongoing constant dialogue. That's the same with all players. But as I said here, there's a genuine feel that anything we bring up on the training pitch or in the team meetings, there's a real thirst for them to take all of it, to take everything they can from us.
and in terms, because you've obviously worked with Frank Lampard a lot, in terms of the work that you've been able to do here at Coventry City, how do you assess that against other places that you've worked? Is there more to come? Are you reaching the levels that you feel you can?
Yeah, I mean, when the prospect of coming to commentary first came up, and me and Frank spoke about it, I'd obviously come off the back of being at Millwall, faced Coventry twice when I was there, so knew the squad, knew the players, and one of the first things I said to Frank was, if the goal is to make the playoffs, if you're asking me, are there 6 teams in the championship, 6 clubs in the championship with better squads than Coventry? My opinion is no. So I knew that there was a good level of player here. However, we know that football isn't that straightforward, and at the time things weren't quite coming together. If you'd have told me then that we were going to come in and fast forward 14 months, it was going to go the way it has, that we'd win a lot of games and get to the playoffs and then win even more games and be in a position where we're top of the league in the turn of the year, I wouldn't have said, yeah, for sure. It's not that easy. Football's not that easy, let alone the championship. So I think we're pleased and proud of the work we've done so far. But the season is 10 months. The season isn't 6 months. So we've done a good job to now. But then being in a position which Frank and I haven't been in as a coaching team before, where you're the ones at the top being chased. We've been in different positions. We've been at the top end of the Premier League, where you must get top 4 and you must compete for trophies, but not absolute top in a title race. We've been down the bottom of the Premier League with Everton in a relegation scrap. But this now is kind of a new challenge for everyone here, and that means constantly sort of staying on top of all the challenges that brings, and the team might have to evolve a bit. So yeah, we've got our way of playing that served us well and got us to this point, but it's not as simple as just saying, yep, let's get back to it and keep doing that for 18 games. 18 games is a long time and a lot of different challenges. So pleased up until now, but it's a good challenge. And from what I know about Frank, if there's anyone that's absolutely obsessed and relentless in, but how can we do that, and how can we keep getting better, and how can we improve every single day, it's him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a long, stressful 4 months, but I'd rather be where we are now than a different part of the league table.
Hi, nice to see you.
You too.
How's your week been off the back of back-to-back home victories?
Yeah, good. 2 really important wins for us, I think. Like I said, back-to-back home victory. So, looking forward to make it 3 out of 3, hopefully.
That is an attitude I can live with. I'm sure everybody in the building can also live with. How do you assess the performance of the squad and your own as well over the last 2 games, coming back after that the Stoke defeat in the FA Cup? But we've talked a bit here in this room about how that was a bit of a reset, really, for everybody. It felt like a bit of a reset and a go again for the second half of the Championship season. How do you assess the performances that have been put in by the squad, by yourself?
Yeah, like you said, exactly, that was a bit of a reset for us, an opportunity for us to just get in that mindset of just getting back on it, to be honest. And I think, yeah, you can see these last 2 results, how important it's meant to us, and our performances on the pitch has shown our fight and our desire to get the 3 points.
And what about yourself and your performances? Are there areas that you were particularly pleased with? You were up against a couple of quite physical, challenging opponents in those battles.
Yeah, last 2 games, 2 good wingers, I'll say, as their 2 best players that I was up against for Leicester and Millwall. So great challenge for me. It's always good to challenge yourself against best wingers in the league. So I think as long as we get the result and we win, that's all that matters.
Get those 3 points, or 6 out of a possible 6. Is a good start to this second half, isn't it? In terms of building confidence and building the start of potential momentum as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think now it's really just focusing game by game, worrying about just us, focus on what we can do. And just keeping that going. I think just rack up as many points as we can, and I think will put us in a great position.
Norwich away is always tricky. Obviously, last season, the less said about that necessarily, the better. But how is the mentality? I know it's a couple of days away because this is Friday and you don't play until the Monday. But what's the mentality like? What's the focus like going into that and working towards it?
I think just as any other game, to be honest, how we've been taking it this season, really upping the intensity, upping the focus. Like I said, just worrying about ourselves mainly, to be honest. It's just another game. That's just how we've got to look at it. Like you said, from going there last year to this year, it's a completely different feeling, a different. You could say it's a different team. So yeah, I think just focus on doing the good things that we have been doing so far.
Is it good in a way to have that kind of benchmark, to be able to take a moment to reflect and look back and see tangibly the differences that have been made within the squad and the performances and the results, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to look back and see. I think we're just more focused on looking forward at the moment, I'd say. Don't want to get too comfortable. We've got so much to do. So I think, yeah, our main focus is looking forward and seeing where we can end up.
And what kind of challenge do you think Norwich will pose for you?
Well, they're starting to pick up some good results recently. The other day it was a massive away win for them. So yeah, it looks like they found a bit of form. So we're aware of that, but we know as any game, every game in the champ is always tough. So we're aware it would be a tough game. They found some form. We're in a good position, so yeah, it'll be a good game.
It's a position that I was speaking to Joe Edwards just a bit earlier, talking about how it's a learning curve for everybody being at the top and being chased. Is it a position that you could? This feels like a dumb question, but you forget like you. This is a good learning curve to be on. This is good pressure in terms of what you're experiencing as a group.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's not a bad thing to be top of the league, is it?
No.
So, yeah, it's definitely a good learning curve. Something that we can all learn from, and I think just embrace the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's obviously not a bad thing to be top of the league, of course, but it presents different challenges for everybody that's within the group and the squad, and unless you've got that experience behind you, this is a first time kind of ride for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, it is the first time for everyone. We're all just kind of just going through it together. To be honest, yeah, like I said, like you've had that. Only if you had that real experience of being top of the league and maintaining that, then you know what it's like. So yeah, I think we're all dealing with it pretty well. I'd say yeah, I'd say pretty well so far. Yeah.
It suits you.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
We spoke to Joe Edwards a little earlier on, and he is somebody that you've obviously worked with quite a lot right throughout of your career. You pleased to be back again and able to work on your game directly with him?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because it feels like I don't know how many years it has actually been since we last worked together, but yeah, it just feels like we've always worked together. It's never stopped. So yeah, it's funny. I'd like to kind of wonder what how he feels about it. Seeing me obviously from when I first met him, I would have been about 15, I think. So first working with him 2015 to how I am now. How he kind of finds that from his side of it. Because to me, it's pretty much the same, to be honest. But yeah, no, I've loved it. It's been good.
And do you feel the change in you as a player over the last year?
Yeah, I'd say definitely. My performance levels have gone up, and I think just more consistent. I think yeah, quite a few people have said that to me, to be honest, and it's kind of been since the guys have come in, the gaffer, Joe. Um, I think it's just all it just fell into place and it just suits me a lot more. The way they work, it's just something I can really get behind, and it's so
What is it about the way that they work that really is connecting with you and having that kind of impact for you?
I think it's just a real just focus on winning, having that mentality, um, intensity to work. I think that'll just be the main kind of things how they go about their work. Yeah, real intensity, real focus, clear detail, and then win, which is which is good.
Yeah, okay. If you want to hear what Joe Edwards thinks, then you can go to BBC Sounds
Yeah,
and you
I
can
love
find
it.
the interview and have a listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to get that in. In terms of the group, obviously it's been a really difficult period over Christmas with illness, with everything else, and obviously Jamie Allen's going through a really difficult time at the moment. The connection between you guys as a squad, from the outside looking in, it just seems unreal, really, to be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, it is one of the. It's probably the best change room I've ever been involved in. Squad. How, yeah, like I said, connecting, how close everyone really is. Yeah, you can't beat it. And coming in every day, being together. So yeah, so it's a real good feeling. So yeah, it's one of the best definitely that I've been involved in.
It feels as though you get quite a lot of stick, though, that you're on the end of quite a lot of that.
Yeah, it's a bit of give and take to it. It's some friendly, harmless banner, which is good. But yeah, maybe the media boys are just showing out the stuff that's getting put onto me for some reason. But yeah, let's try and push that out a bit more on others.
So you are giving as good as you get.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to see that.
For sure.
Yeah. Jay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.